Hello everyone and welcome to the week 3 of season 2 of EGFH in Rocket League. Today we're live with games from our Connecticut region. We're starting the season with games between the Kaynor Panthers and the Woodstock Academy Centaurs. I of course want to thank our sponsors, the Yukon Gaming Club, the Yukon School of Engineering and Mob Crush for making the season possible. Now to get into this game, my name is Cavid Navigdignan and for this season I'm joined by Nick Abodable and Brozik. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. How are you? How are you feeling about seeing both of these teams being played? Of course, them being finalists in last season.
It's gonna be a good matchup, especially gonna set up for the rest of the season because we haven't seen this new Kaynor Panther squad. They have new players on their team, and we mentioned last week with the Centaurs, Crazy MS is the only one who's really came back this season. So we'll see exactly what the dynamic is between these two, and I'm expecting a lot out of this Woodstock Academy team as usual.
Yeah, and I also believe last time we saw the Centaurs playing, they didn't have Low-Key Freakin' in, they actually had their sub. So now we're seeing the Centaurs kind of playing with their main lineup.
True, so this could be a completely different story to the last one, but already we're seeing some good possession by the Kaynor Panthers. Didn't really see too much out of the Woodstock Academy Centaurs. They had one good touch in the opening few seconds, but after that, they gave up possession quite handily to their opponents. And unfortunately, that might have been a block that could have potentially gone in.
Yeah, that did look very, very close there, but they managed to save it by the end of it. And of course now, Paradox going for a nice little aerial, a bit of an aerial one there. Nobody to follow up on it, but little parking lot's going to be back there. And that looks like that's going in. Oh!
So close, yet so far. That one barely on the goal line. They couldn't thread the needle. And even when there was no one back in time, they just couldn't get possession. And there was no one on the follow-up to put that into the back of the net, unfortunately.
Yeah, and of course there's, like we said at the start of the match, there's a bit of a, I shouldn't call it a rivalry, but there's definitely, I think the Panthers want to be able to beat the Centaurs at least one round because of last season, with them being new teams kind of proving themselves. So
I believe last season as well, they only got a single game off of the Centaurs.
Yeah, not even a set. I think they got one game. So hopefully it's a different story this time round.
Now we're seeing a lot more out of the Centaurs. We really haven't seen them be able to put any good shots on, though, because the pressure they've been facing by this Kaynor Panthers team. They've been able to shut down and get it past them like plenty of times. That might be a goal. They do the secure, and the first one goes to the Panthers.
There we go. Speed getting the goal there. It was nice. There was nobody sitting in the goal. Of course, you see all of the Panthers pushed up just a little bit too far. Paratoxic trying to get there in time, but Airspeed was just a little bit further ahead and was able to secure that goal. And I'm going to continue casting now because we're having Nick seems to be having some issues, so we're going to start off this goal, and almost immediately Paradoxic, as soon as that ball gets kicked off, they it down into the Centaurs sides, and they just didn't stop on the aggression. Crazy MS tried to save it, but it went in.
And what a great way to tie things up. Got the secure they needed, was able to break past the defense, and now at halftime it's still going to be tough to call between these two teams. We saw more out of the Woodstock Academy Centaurs last week, and this week they've kind of slowed down. It's like their sub was working out better for them, as we see a good touch by Airspeed to put that one in.
Yeah, no, and once again, the Centaurs aren't giving it up so easily. Of course, that's Airspeed's second goal now this game, and it's just some good Rocket League, right? Like seeing the ball go left and right, go into some goals. And Crazy MS then missing the aerial. Low-key, nobody there onto the goal, actually, so Paradoxic's going to be able to find it. Actually, Rajrambir there actually finding the goal. I thought Paradoxic got the last touch, but there it is. Low-key trying to save it then, just not being able to get the direction that he wanted from the jump, and nobody was there to defend.
Yeah, we've seen that happen twice now. Once for the Centaurs, and now once for the Panthers to secure a goal in that fashion. Just too much overcommittance by both sides, pushing all three members up, not having anyone back to get the touch and prevent those open goal opportunities from happening. Almost saw the Centaurs take advantage there, but still weren't able to secure the lead. So I want to make a correction earlier. I was saying the Panthers were the Centaurs, but the Centaurs have looked actually pretty solid this time. The Panthers are the ones who are kind of struggling on the offense.
Yes, the Panthers are blue and the Centaurs are red for anybody else who might have been confused. I do think we skipped over that by accident.
Still plenty of time though.
Yeah, Crazy getting a nice little bounce, but little parking lot there, managing to save it. And again, we're seeing a lot more aerials compared to last season from both of these teams. Little parking, no, we have Panther trying to find something, and the Panthers get a nice little shot there, and it goes right in. Rajrambi finding a second goal for his team there. If we look at the replay, he just gets a nice little bounce. It actually bounces off of Loki and redirects right into the right post of the goal, and that was a nice little shot there. I imagine none of the players thought that was going to happen, but a goal's a goal.
Yeah, the defense couldn't even get the connection they wanted there. They both went for it at the end, but it was just too fast, too much power behind that shot for them to get the save. And that's been the story for the Panthers so far. They've had very powerful touches right past the defense, and the defense just couldn't react in time.
And again, we talk about this a lot, especially with Crazy MS. He tends to play defensive quite a bit, but he's been pushing up a decent amount this game. And this seems to be how it usually goes for the first game with the Centaurs. They try playing super aggressively. They try and see if their opponents will break just from constant shots. And then after the second game, if they lose the first one, they go back to their more standard defensive 2-up throne.
Oh my goodness. Paradoxic. What a great touch over top of them. With 28 seconds left, gets it past one. Sees that there's a potential to get the block there, just waited out the touch from the defender, and then just popped it over top of him into the net and secured the goal. Yeah,
and again, bringing it to 4-2 to the Panthers, 30 seconds left on the clock. Unless the Centaurs can actually find a couple goals within the next, 10 seconds a goal, then we might be seeing the first point go to the Panthers, and I believe this is the first match that the Panthers and the Centaurs have played against each other this season, so it's already looking quite good for them.
Yeah, some great work being put in by the Panthers, but I feel like this has all been orchestrated by the poor commits by the Centaurs. We saw all three of them going up, some double commits happening, an own goal happening there, which might not matter, depends on what happens in 1 second.
If
they don't go for the ball here, that will just make it hit the ground when they touch it.
Yeah, so if they can find a goal here, with 1 second left on the clock, so I do believe that's going to be the end of this match, unless we get some crazy aerials.
Okay, well, it's still up. It's possible.
Still there. Somebody might find something. Parking lot's looking to it. It's getting. No, they're not letting it hit the ground. Just playing into that top right corner. And there we go. Okay.
So what I was gonna say before is, once it gets to that 1 second mark, if you don't go for the kickoff and the other person hits it, it just grounds it on the floor of the pitch, and there's no way that they can get it up in time to get the goal. So that would have been a better option for the Panthers to make sure that there's no chance for that to happen. But instead they went for it. We saw it go up and down a few times, but didn't matter in the end. What did matter was the Panthers winning 4-3 against the Centaurs. Very strong finish from them and shaky start for the Centaurs.
Yeah, no, that was an extremely good start from the Panthers, and I do think a lot of it came from those shaky commitments that we saw on the Centaurs, or borderline, I think there was some luck at play there as well, especially with that goal from Rajrambi,
True.
where he rushed into Loki. Loki tried to deflect it, and it just went straight into the goal. So
we'll see what happens in this next one. If the Panthers can keep up the good work and make sure they don't have any open nets for the Centaurs to capitalize on, or if the Centaurs are just going to play more defensive, make sure once they get a goal, just kind of ease off on that gas pedal, make sure that they can just keep up the pressure and prevent any more opportunities like we saw the Panthers have a few too many in that last game.
Yeah, no, and I think they need to play more defensively. I think they were being a bit too over-aggressive on the side of the Centaurs. But for the Panthers, I think they were playing fairly well, right? There was a couple little hiccups that we saw on defense, maybe because they saw an opportunity and it didn't work out for them. But I feel like how they're playing currently, with Radrambi staying back into the background, and then when he sees a shot going for it, and then either Paradoxic or Little Parking Lot. But immediately as that match starts, we find Airspeed finding a goal, assisted by Crazy MS there. There was a nice little back and forth between them like that, and hitting Paradox, and Crazy went for it as well.
Ouch. That's gonna hurt if you're Paradox. He was trying to get a better touch to maybe like ground it, just knock it away from the opponents who were pressuring him, but instead he set them up for that one, and Airspeed was able to get the secure, was in position for that one, and took advantage. And we saw earlier, I don't know if you guys saw, but in the quick chat, Airspeed was quite frustrated with his performance in the first game. So now got that first goal, his confidence is back, and he's looking to improve even tenfold in this game, and already a long shot going towards the net.
Yeah, Little Parking Lot actually having just enough boost there to save it, but he's managing to get it around Crazy MS over Loki, and with Airspeed now having to reverse if he isn't going to be in the right position, he manages to knock it back a little bit for Paradoxic. Going to be setting it up for Radrambi if he can find it. Crazy MS in the air. Nobody's left in the goal. If there's no boost, that might actually go in. And save.
No, what?
Oh no, Airspeed coming around and actually securing it.
Okay, so there's a lot to break down here. We saw that long lob of a shot. One defender missed, another defender missed, an attacker missed, and finally Airspeed just casually coming on by, sweeping in and securing the goal. Picking up 2 now for his team. Just keep it cool, calm, and collected, and that's all you need to do to score that goal.
Yeah, I mean, and Airspeed, we saw, and is this going to be another goal straight on the back? The Centaurs lost 1 round, and now they're going, no, we are securing this game. We are applying as much aggression as we can, and we're going to get goal after goal after goal. And Airspeed...
They're hungry for that victory, man.
Dude, they do not like losing, and I think they proved this last season, and they're starting to prove it this season as soon as they dropped a point, so...
It's not even just the rest of his team, it's mainly been Airspeed getting those connections, breaking past the defense, and able to secure those goals for his team. And there's still 3 minutes and 40-something seconds left for the Kaynor Panthers to try and come back. It's possible, but when you're down by this much, your mindset changes a little bit, and you become more fearful of any mistakes you might have, because you don't want to make the deficit even larger and make it more impossible for you to overcome that large of a score differential between these two.
Yeah, and if nobody has boosted, they might... No, Radrambi missing it! Oh, okay, Little Parking Lot coming back with the save. That was a close one, and I want to say, compared to last season, I think the level of Rocket League that we're seeing is much greater. Like, we're seeing, if somebody misses, it's not everybody running back. We're seeing them multiple commitments on shots and multiple defenses instead of a goal just going in. So it's nicer to see this level of play. Crazy MS trying to look for something there, but of course Paradox stopping it.
One thing to notice as well is that the Kaynor Panthers, compared to the last game, have just been stuck in their own end, facing so much pressure, and that's forcing so many more mistakes than the last game. We saw 3 goals go in off of mistakes, where last time it was more good possession by the Centaurs to break past the defense. So if they can break out of their side, the Panthers have a good shot at catching the Centaurs off guard, but they can't keep up that offense. And they got to make sure they don't overcommit as well, like we just saw there.
Yeah, I mean, both of them tried to save it there, but I believe we saw Paradox and Radrambi just missed that, slightly overcommitting and undercommitting at their speed. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, 4-0 is a lot different than 4-3. I think it was like 4-3 in the last game, where the Centaurs, they did pretty well for themselves. We saw the open net opportunities for the Panthers. They had a solid chance there if they got a follow-up, but still not enough to break past the Centaurs. As we mentioned, were angry after that last one. They want the victory. They're not going to stop here. Another goal going past them as well.
Crazy MS also putting in some work now. So now each member of the Centaurs have managed to find a goal for their team. So they are all putting in the work. And of course, we'll be having a substitute for the Centaurs with Crazy MS moving out for his sub next game. So it might all change again.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, because Airspeed's been the main X factor for the Centaur squad, getting that hat trick so early on, crushing the hopes of the Panthers of getting a victory in the second game. If you're the Panthers, you're down by 4 goals, or 5 goals actually. I thought they had one, but I was mistaken. And 1 minute and 35 seconds remaining. What you want to improve upon is your ability to get those booming clears from your own side. Because they're facing this pressure. They faced it throughout the majority of this game. And they weren't able to overcome it at all. They maybe got a few shots. Just going to ignore this goal right here because it's 6, but a great double touch by Airspeed.
Yeah, no, I
but
wanted
the Panthers...
to say that goal from Airspeed that's practically setting himself up was lovely. But as you were going to say...
Yeah, the Panthers, they need to just use the remainder of this game to improve for the rest of the series so that they have a shot at taking the victory because they aren't doing so hot at breaking out of their own end. We saw that happen with these 6 goals getting scored. The only time they were really able to break out was after a goal was being scored.
Yeah. And again, I believe in Season 1 you referred to it as kind of like garbage time when a game is so set back for the other team. You should use that time to kind of reset your mentality, talk about what you need to be doing instead of trying to get more goals.
Yeah, exactly. And a 7 now. Like, doesn't matter at this point. They're just having fun, showing how dominant of a team they are, and that they're as good as they were last season at least.
Yeah. I mean, they have a title to, you know, hold up, being a Series 1's champions, so now they're not going to let that down so easy.
What else do you think that the Panthers really need to improve upon in Game 3 of this series? Like, they don't have to worry about Crazy MS because there's a sub coming in, but that sub was also very dangerous for the Centaurs last season. Yeah. Last series, I mean.
Oh yeah, we saw him last week as well, and that was quite intimidating. I think it's a number of factors. I think one of the factors that we should be looking at is that the Panthers haven't actually played on the stream this season, and we see this every single start of every single season. Teams' first games or first round on stream tend to be a little bit shaky because they're like, okay, people are seeing us, right? And the Centaurs went through that last week, and we saw them a little bit shaky, but they also didn't have, but they also had a sub involved there as well. So I believe the only person who hasn't played on the Centaurs on stream is Low-Key, but he seems to, you know, he's got his teammates who aren't feeling that, so that might be helping. So I think that could be a big part of the mental game as well.
Yeah, so we'll have to see after this, or maybe they might play on for the next game. Depends how they want to do it, because I think they had to go at like 3:45 Eastern or something like that. But Airspeed, Crazy MS, and Low-Key Freaking, they had a combined total of 12 shots towards the Panthers, who only had 3. So they outshot their opponents. They outscored their opponents. They had a pretty good shooting percentage too. But the Panthers, they outsaved them as well. They annihilated them across the board, where the Panthers, as we mentioned, just couldn't get out their own end.
But at the end of the day, what comes down to is how many wins each team has had, and they've both got a round 1. So although that was a slaughter, they've already won 1 round. So we might see the next one coming up. I'm waiting for production here on if we are going to actually have a sub this round or next one, and what we're... Right. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to cut to a quick break whilst we get this sub handled, and then we'll be right back at you. All right, now we're going to get back into it. We do have Crazy MS subbing up for Baba Baggins, who we saw play last week. And what do you want to... Any info on him?
Any info? He was the top scorer for their team last time in the majority of those games. I think every single one that they actually managed to secure a goal. Well, not that time, though. As we saw, all 3 members of their team kind of like missed the ball completely. But last week, Baba Baggins performed spectacularly. Was able to just break past the defense so many times, secure all the goals he needed, got some good blocks in as well. Played kind of like a sweeper role. Whenever his teammates put some pressure on, he'd sweep in from the midfield line and secure the shots and take the defense off guard. So with that kind of role, for what Crazy MS was doing in the last 2 games, it's going to help them out even more so going forward in the remainder of the series.
Yeah, and like you were saying, he's also the lowest ranked player on the Centaurs.
True.
And he performs just as well as his champion tier teammates. So I think that says a lot about the player himself and getting actually into these games. We've seen a couple close goals already. Baba Baggins now pushing in, trying to get that rebound, but there's not much to follow up on. He tries to set up. knocking it away from Paradox. Airspeed, of course, now playing that defensive role because this is the first time, I believe, ever that Crazy MS has not been with his team. Him being, I believe, the captain of the Centaurs Rocket League team. So
Indeed.
Their communication might break down a little bit, or somebody else might have the mantle. They might have practiced with a second shot caller.
True, we see that happen a lot of times in other esports as well, where they have like a secondary in-game leader that might lead the charge when it comes to comms and direct the way that they're going to play. But Baba Baggins, great touch.
What is there to say? This man came in last week as a sub, proved himself, come in this week as a sub, and he's the first goal of the game he comes in on.
It's to be expected, honestly, after his performance last week. We're just waiting for it to happen at this point, but showing that he has that consistency on and off the pitch, that his teammates can actually rely on him, and that's crucial for a sub. Most subs, even in RLCS or Rival Series or any other competitive Rocket League tournament, aren't usually as up to par as the rest of the team members. And even though I think he's like a gold 3, he still is able to play with the big boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody here is about Platinum 1 to Champion. Could be wrong on that one, but I think
Platinum with the Kaynor Panthers, and I think Champion for the Centaurs.
Yeah. So he is the lowest ranked player if we were to look at that, but ranking doesn't mean everything, especially when you get into an environment like this. Communication is the most important thing in how you're playing with your team.
Exactly, and that's what worked out so well for the Centaurs in the previous game, where they are able to...
It's be
oh my goodness.
Goal there, and that was an own goal. If we watch the replay here, I believe it went off of Lil Parking Lot. Oh no, it was Raj there.
It was a very unfortunate own goal.
Yeah, across the map. Nobody there to defend it in time as they were all pushed up. That was very unfortunate.
So just to make a quick correction, I had to check my notes. Actually, Baba Baggins is Diamond. So
he's Diamond.
he's not Gold 3. He's pretty solid, actually.
No, never mind. I think he was Gold last week.
No, that was one of the other players on the
Oh, okay, then we are
other teams.
completely misspoken
On the Green
here.
Knights.
Not the lowest.
He's the lowest on his team, but he's higher than the opponents, so they still have to worry about this guy.
Yeah. Well, even if he was Gold 3, they have to worry about him. Was that an own goal from Baba Baggins?
That might have been. We saw Paradoxic get the touch.
Oh,
okay,
no, okay. Raj Rambi actually got it. Yeah, it bounced off of Raj and Baba Baggins there into the goal. So a lovely little correction from Raj there to stop them from defending.
So that's the first one in a lengthy road to try and tie things up, especially after their previous performance in the last game. We saw a great setup by Paradoxic for that one, so maybe he'll be the one to lead the charge for his team, get the connections off the back walls, maybe catch the defense off guard. We almost saw a shot there that could have been on target.
Yeah,
but
he's actually following up on it, and again, these are so close, and it's so unfortunate. Raj and Paradoxic, they're setting each other up quite nicely, but not being able to secure the goal. Lil Parking Lot playing in his goal, just playing as that goalkeeper role, that is so crucial at the moment. So we've just been told by production, Baggins is in fact Gold 3. Low key is Diamond. There was a slight issue on our notes. So we were correct.
We were correct.
Yeah.
He plays like a Diamond, we could say then.
Yes.
But Airspeed, Airspeed securing another goal. As per usual, at this point, he's been the main striker for his team. We saw in the first game, especially in the second game where he got the hat-trick at the beginning. Now every single member of the Centaurs has a goal to their name. And we really haven't seen too much out of Parking Lot and Paradoxic when it comes to goals or good opportunities towards the net.
Yeah, Paradoxic has been setting up, and every time he's went for a goal, it's just hit the left sidebar of the Centaurs' goal, and it's been very unfortunate for him because I believe that's happened 3 times. Again, Rajrambe getting a nice little long shot there. Loki should be able to bounce it back, but Paradoxic is going to not being able to because of Baba Baggins jumping on him. 8 seconds. Yeah, we're going to see the countdown now. Again, the game doesn't end until the ball touches the ground, so for the interest of the Centaurs, they just want to hit it into the ground as soon as possible. But they might also just be looking for another goal. Paradoxic now being able to run it down, but it's going to bounce on the floor, and that's going to be the second round going towards the Centaurs. So, again, this is a best-of-5 series, so it's not until somebody gets to 3 points. So we're 1-2 Centaurs. Well, one, maybe 2 more.
Depending on how the Panthers performed. They looked a lot better in that game compared to the previous one, of course, where it was 7-0. But at that point, you really could have said that game was more 3-0 after they got those first 3 goals. It was
it seemed to be over for the Panthers. Yeah, the Panthers seemed to be focusing more on kind of messing about and just relaxing.
Exactly. Because when it comes to the lower level games, it's much more difficult to overcome those deficits. When it's the higher level leagues, you're kind of expected to be able to pull off like a goal, 2 or even 3 goals in like a short time span. And even though the Panthers had like 4 minutes to do it, just because of their skill level being at like platinum, they might be like high platinum or low platinum. Either way, it's that much more difficult to get things going just because their mechanical skill isn't as up to par as their opponents is.
Yeah, but again, these have been close matches. They of course won that first round, so
true, very true.
I wouldn't put them down that much.
It's just very difficult to overcome that big of a deficit. We saw potential in this game, this previous game though. Once they got that first goal, is just they couldn't get much going after that. So if they improve again in this game, we might see them take the victory against the Centaurs and even up the series, get us that 5th game, and see where things go from there. But I'm eager to see how the Panthers perform in this one.
Yeah, it should be very fun to see.
I think we're just waiting for them to join the field, and then we'll get underway with this game. But any predictions going into this one? Do you think it's just going to be over like that for the Centaurs?
I think it's going to go 2-3 to the Centaurs. I think it's going to be a closer game because we have seen them we saw that last one quite close.
True.
But I do think the Centaurs might pull just a little bit because they are just one of those teams that doesn't like to lose, and they really push when they are winning.
Yeah, and they've been able to clean up their mistakes from that first game where they overcommitted a few times, and that's where the Panthers were able to capitalize and get those counterattacks. So we'll see what happens in this one.
Yeah, but at the moment it's looking like a decent start for the Panthers as they manage to get some of the ball possession there, keep it to the Centaurs side of the field. Little parking lot there going to go for a shot, but he was deflected fairly easily. Paradoxic now setting up for his teammate. Raj does see it, but the ball was stopped, so he just wasn't able to get enough speed. Again, so you asked about what I think is going to happen at the end of this game. What about you, Audible? Where do you think it's going to end on the scoreboard?
Well, based off of right now, I feel like there's going to be a few counterattack goals for the Centaurs just because of how much pressure the Panthers are applying and kind of leaving themselves in awkward positions on defense. It hasn't come back to bite them just yet, but it looks like it's an inevitability at this point just based off of how desperate the Panthers are for that first goal. They want the first goal so they can feel comfortable going into the remaining minutes of this game and have the lead against their opponents, because that's what you can do once you have the lead. You can be so confident for the remainder of the game. You just have to play keep away at that point. Yeah. So we'll see what happens in the remainder of this one, as it's been fairly even so far. Great save by Paradoxic. And Parking Lot was able to get the final clear for that one.
Yeah, that was very close though. Airspeed likes those back right corner shots just straight onto the goal, and he's been fairly consistent with them. But I think now they've kind of got the idea if they see him over there, he's probably going to go for a shot. And Paradoxic was prepared this time.
Ooh, double commit on the defense. Could have led to something bad. Parking Lot almost got bumped out of the way too, but great clear. That's what they were lacking in that second game. They've improved again as the series has progressed, and that's so crucial for these teams too. You might go down a game or two, but you have to be able to come back keep your mentality up and make sure that you can take it all the way to at least 5 games. Keep it competitive against your opponents, because that way you'll always be improving. And it's so important to be able to adapt as a series progresses.
Yeah, and it is super important to try and keep competitive, like you were saying, because you do improve. You improve every single game when you're playing against a better opponent. So, and we already see it, right? We like from game 1 to game 2 was completely different, because the Centaurs kind of figured out how they were playing, and then now game 3 and 4 have been much closer. And we haven't even seen a goal compared to the first game where there was like 7 goals at this point.
Yeah, at this point I think there was like probably 5 goals, but even then, as you mentioned, just so much pressure. And we're seeing a lot more confidence out of the Panthers. They're going for more pressure. It kind of bit them in the butt there, but airspeed of a great touch towards that back end. And no one was really in a good enough position in time to get the save. And I called it a little bit earlier as well.
Yeah, Paradoxic trying to go for the bicycle kick there, but he just wasn't at the right angle to stop it. So he just ended up flailing in the air. Again, low-key, just going for that nice little clear. Trying to get it up. Oh, and it looks like that was almost a good setup there. Speed looked like he wanted to commit onto that ball if Little Parking Lot hadn't stopped it. Keeping it up this corner, bouncing from Loki, it's going to go to the back right corner, which of course we know is Speed's favorite corner to shoot from. Baba Baggins now tapping it to the Paradoxic, managing to intercept it. He's going to try and keep it set up in the middle of that Little Parking Lot, trying to go for it, but Speed's going to knock it away just in time. A minute left on the clock. The Panthers need to be able to find something in this time.
Yeah, that one goal that got past them might be all they need, but a great touch off the back wall. They just need to secure here. They were in position for it, but both team members going for that one would have been better to leave one back, so they had a third chance at that opportunity of a goal.
Yeah.
And time still is going to keep going down for them. They keep getting pushed back to their side. This is all the Centaurs need. They got the one goal. We said whoever does this, they just need to hold on to this, play keep away. But the Centaurs aren't really going to stop there.
No, they're not looking to play keep away. They're thirsty for another goal, right? They don't want this to be a close game. They want to show that, like, hey, we're a good team. We're not just going to go like that. And of course now Airspeed looking to clear this up. If Raj can't get it in time, actually getting knocked away by Airspeed whilst he hit the ball as well. So that was both a deflect of his opponent and him shooting towards the goal. Look at this. That was Airspeed there, just in the perfect position to deflect 2 things at once.
Worked out quite well for him. And as we said before, main striker for the Centaurs team. Got the 2 goals in this one. I think he got like a few goals in the last one as well for his team.
Yeah, and it looks like he's trying to get a third one in the last 3 seconds. But Little Parking
He's trying to make a montage out of the series.
Yeah, he's trying. But Little Parking Lot's going to say no there. And the Centaurs are going to win this series. And that was a much closer game. I'm looking forward to seeing both of these teams play against each other again with a bit more practice.
Yeah, I said it a few times and kind of harped a little bit too much on the Connecticut Panthers, but if they are able to improve their ability to break out of their own end when they are facing that pressure, it's going to be so crucial going into the remainder of the season. They'll be able to take the game back under their control, get those booming clears, and follow up with it. And that's what they will need to do if they want to get some victories under their belt for these best of 5s. They got the 1 game, but they need more than that if they want to move all the way to a pretty good seed for the playoffs.
Yeah, and I do believe that's the end of the series. That is the 3rd game, of course, going towards the Centaurs. So they're going to take this round, and I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to the beginning of the season with, of course, the Centaurs, the Woodstock Academy Centaurs taking the victory. You can follow us at official EGF on Twitter and Twitch for updates and announcements. This season wouldn't be possible without support from our sponsors, the Yukon Gaming Club, the Yukon School of Engineering, and Mob Crush. I have been Cavan Navik Dignan. You can find me on Twitter at Cavan Dignan, CavanDignan. And Nick?
I've been Nick Vaudible Ambrozic, and you can find me at Vaudible on all the social medias. That is just spelled Vodible.
For watching.